It was Halloween, 2007. I was 15 at the time, and me and my friends wanted to do something fun on Halloween. We decided to go around the local neighbourhood playing Ding Dong Ditch and doing some trick-or-treating. Most of the houses on the road looked amazing, well decorated, with skeletons and pumpkins on their front doors. However, there was one house with nothing. No cars on the drive, no lights on, nothing. It looked abandoned, but we knew it wasn't because we know people were living there doing it up. So, me and my friends decided to go and Ding Dong Ditch this house. We walked up to the door and knocked on it, and then we hid round the corner and waited to see if anybody would answer. We waited for a bit and there was nothing. So I walked up to the front door and pressed on their buzzer. Then I ran round and quickly hid again. That's when it got strange. Suddenly we heard a noise, like a window opening. Me and my friend stayed hidden and waited to see if the people in the house would say anything, but there was nothing. Me and my friends decided to call it a day and just go home. But then, we heard a very, very loud sound. It was a chainsaw, coming from within the back garden of this place. We thought, why would somebody be out with a chainsaw at 10 o'clock at night on Halloween? And was there even anybody home? It could have just been someone playing a Halloween prank, but me and my friends were scared and we decided we should go. But then it came again, louder and closer. Me and my friends stayed as quiet as we possibly could. It sounded dangerously close, but we couldn't see anybody and we couldn't hear any footsteps. But me and my friends were terrified. We couldn't see anybody. Where was this coming from? We decided, on 3, we were going to run as fast as we possibly could all the way home. We counted 1, 2, 3. Then we ran as fast as we could. After a few minutes of sprinting down the road, we eventually got back home. We quickly ran inside and told my parents what had just happened. But they were confused. They said, "We know the people that live in that house. They're on holiday at the moment." Me and my friends looked at each other in terror. If there was no one there, where the hell did that chainsaw come from? My parents were worried. They decided to go to the house alone and see if they could see anything. They went and apparently saw nothing and heard nothing. There was no footsteps, no chainsaw, and no windows which were open. Me and my friends were terrified. What the hell had just happened? To this day, I have no idea what I heard that night. What even happened? Was it a real guy? Or was it something more sinister? It was Halloween night 2012. At the time I was living on my own. My house was in the middle of the countryside and there were not many houses near it. At the time I was 20 and I'd been living there for a year already. I knew that on Halloween nothing ever happened and no trick-or-treaters came, so I didn't bother putting up decorations. However, this year it turned out very different. So that night I went up to bed early and just went and got some sleep. Just like any other normal day really. However, at around midnight I was awoken by knocking on my door. My house was in the middle of the countryside, so I couldn't imagine anybody coming here. Anyway, I walked downstairs and went to my front door to see if anybody was there. I opened the door and nobody was there. I was slightly confused about what had happened, but I just walked back upstairs and went back to bed. But then it came again, the knocking on the door. I walked over to the window in my room and looked out, but I still couldn't see anybody out there. As I turned away from the window, again, more knocking, even louder. I was getting worried and annoyed at this point, so I walked downstairs, swung the door open and walked outside. But no one was there. I shouted, "Hello, is anyone there? What do you want?" There was no reply. I walked back inside and the knocking instantly started. I quickly swung the door open and said, "What the hell do you want? Leave me alone." There was no reply. But how could somebody knock that quick and then get away? I went back inside, really angry now. But out of the window, I saw a shadow on the driveway. Now I knew there must have been somebody out there. But when I shouted, he did not reply. I turned away from the window and then looked back out. It was gone. That's when things turned for the worse. There was more noise. It was not knocking, it was footsteps, coming from in my house. I walked along my corridors to see if anybody was there, but I couldn't find anyone. I shouted, "Hello? Is anybody there? Are you in my house?" There was still no reply. But then I saw a figure standing at the end of the corridor, staring at me. I couldn't quite make him out, but it looked like he was wearing a black hoodie and he had his hood up. I froze. Me and this figure were standing there staring at each other. Then he decided to run off. I chased him down the stairs, but it was too late. He was gone. I saw him run off into the distance. To this day, I do not know what that man was doing in my house. Was he even real? Was he trying to rob me? Kill me? I still have no idea. I guess I never will. It was Halloween, 2008. I was living on my own at the time, and I'd just finished decorating my house and getting ready for the night. I don't usually go out, but I usually get a few trick-or-treaters come to my house, so I had a lot of candy ready. I stuck a film on, and around 8 PM I'd already had quite a few people come round trick-or-treating. But then, my doorbell went off, around 10 PM that night. I thought, that's a bit late for kids to come trick-or-treating. I answered the door. There was a figure standing there. This was not a child, and it was not a trick-or-treater either. He must have been in his 50s. I couldn't quite make it out, but I could just see a dark figure with a hood up. I said to him, "Are you okay? Can I help you?" The man did not say anything. He just carried on staring. I asked again, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" He still did not reply, but he decided to walk a few paces towards me. Then he spoke his first words. He said in a very deep voice, "Can I come in?" I was only in my 20s at the time and I was stupid, and I said, "Yeah, sure, I can help you if you need help." The man did not say anything, but walked into my house and sat down in my kitchen. So I sat down and said to the man, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" He replied, "I'm not here." I said, "What do you mean you're not here? You're literally sitting in my kitchen." He said, "I'm not here." I didn't think this guy was very well. I said to him, "What's your name?" He pulled out his ID card, and I remembered his name. And I thought, tomorrow I would call around and try and find him some help. I then said to him, "Are you hungry? Are you okay?" He said, "Yes." I gave him a packet of crisps and some bread, and then he decided to walk out of the house. He stared at me and said, "Thank you." He left. I thought the whole situation was very strange. Some random man had just walked into my house, taken food, and then left. I was very, very confused, but I went to sleep. The next day I called a hospital. I told them the man's name and asked if they could get him some help. But the woman on the phone said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" I said, "Yes, why?" She said, "This man died 50 years ago." I said to the woman, "What? But he was in my house last night." She laughed and said, "Must have been a ghost then," before hanging up the phone. I was so confused now. But the things he said were starting to make more sense now. The way he said, "I'm not here." I was confused and thought, maybe it was a dream. But how would I remember his name? And then I walked into the kitchen. The drawers were still open from where I got the packet of crisps out for him, and the table and chairs were still there from where we'd sat. To this day I still wonder, was it some kind of crazy lucid dream? Or did a ghost really enter my house? It was October 31st, 2010. Me and my friends had finished getting our degrees at university, and we decided we wanted to do something fun for Halloween this year. We remembered that our old primary school that we used to go to was now abandoned, so we decided to go there late at night on Halloween. However, my friends were scared about going to the place, because they had heard stories that a group of kids went there and saw some very questionable things. However, I told my friends just to be quiet, and it was a load of nonsense that they'd been hearing. It would be great fun to go there and just have a laugh. I couldn't have been more wrong. We were all living together at the time, and the school was only around half a mile from our house. We decided to leave around 8 PM that night. Once we arrived at the school, we could tell that it had been abandoned for a very long time. The windows were boarded up, broken glass everywhere, and there was moss all over the building. At this point, my friends were beginning to feel a bit scared again. However, I reassured them that it would be fine and it was just a building. We approached the large wooden door and pushed it, but it would not open. We looked to see if there was any locks on it, and there was. They were not coming off anytime soon. We realised we needed to find another way to get into the building. We walked round to the side of the building, where there was a window which was smashed, but it was not boarded up. We realised it was big enough that we could fit through. So, we picked each other up and helped each other through the window and climbed inside. Once we were all inside, we looked down the corridors and in the classrooms which we used to go to. All of the old lockers and cupboards and all of the rooms, they were all still there, intact. We all got our phones out and started videoing around, making like a vlog. That was when my friends broke the silence. One of my friends said, "Guys, who's this?" He got a notification from an unknown number on his phone. It just said ... We all gathered around him and thought, this is strange, at 9 o'clock at night on Halloween, from an unknown number. Could it just be a friend playing a prank? So he texted them back and said, "Who are you?" The unknown number replied, "I can see you." At this point we were like, yeah, of course you can, this is just some silly Halloween prank. We were very, very wrong. Again, the number replied, "I can see you. You're inside the school." This was when we thought, How? What's going on? Did one of our friends follow us? My friend texted back and said, how? Who are you? The number started typing again. And he said, I can see you. You're inside my school. We got very worried at this point because we thought maybe someone has bought the school and now owns it. So we text back and said, oh, is it your school? I'm very, very sorry. We're very sorry for coming in. We'll leave immediately. But how did you get my number? He replied with, look out of the window. We all approached the window and turned off our flashes. Outside was a man standing there, a tall man with a black trench coat and a black hat on. He waved at us. We got another text from the unknown number saying, are you shy? This was when me and my friends realised something really bad was going on. We shouted out the window at the man, what do you want? Who are you? He did not say anything, but he slowly started walking towards the window where me and my friends were. We ducked and hid as quick as we could. For a few seconds, we lay there. Eventually, I thought, I need to look. I got up and looked out of the window to see if I could see him. But he was gone, nowhere to be seen. We were all very confused. How could he just vanish like that? But the main focus on our minds was, get out of here. So, we helped each other out of the window and ran towards the road. When we got to the main road, we could see the school buses, the old ones that we used to go on, laying there abandoned. This was when I could have sworn I saw one of the lights come on the buses for a brief moment. I said to my friends, guys, did you see that? They said, yes, I did. We all decided we need to go now. I took one last look behind me. The man was standing there, next to the building again, right where he was before. He lifted his hand and waved at us. I said to my friends, keep running, and we just ran and ran and ran all the way till we arrived back home. When we got back home, we tried to track the number and where it had come from. But everywhere we looked and asked, it said unknown, and you could not trace it because it was not a real number. To this day, I still have no idea how that man got our number, or if he was even real. Was he some kind of twisted psycho who wanted to kill us all? I guess I will never know. But the one thing I know for sure is, I will never be returning to that building again. It was summer 2015. I was 19 years old and I decided to move out of my parents' house. There was a house which was going very cheap. It needed a lot of work on it, but I decided to buy it and do it up myself. I was living in the house while I was doing it up and working in a car dealership. I was doing quite well for myself. But I felt very lonely. I wanted someone to talk to and I would have loved to have a girlfriend at the time. So I turned to Tinder. I met this girl on there and we started talking. She was very nice, but I couldn't really tell her personality because it was all over text. She would always refuse to call, and I didn't know why. We'd been talking for about 2 months, and I said, would you like to FaceTime? She bluntly said, no. This was when I thought, that's a bit odd, but I didn't want to question her, so I said, okay, no problem. We spoke for around another month before I said, I really think we should FaceTime or call someone, because it's been this long, it's been about 3 months now. She eventually agreed and said, okay, we can call, but not FaceTime. I said, okay, sure. I thought it was strange that she did not want to FaceTime, but I just accepted it because at least she was going to call. I was still doing up the house at the time and living in there. There was a very dark, long corridor with a window at the end, and it always really creeped me out. So the day came, and me and this girl, we called. We had a nice chat, but I could tell something was off. She seemed very worried, very agitated. She didn't want to talk freely. I said to her, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm fine. I was getting very worried about this now because I could tell she was not okay, but she didn't want to tell me why. Anyway, we hung up the phone and we carried on texting. But I knew something was up, and I said, I think we should FaceTime someone, because I wanted to see her and make sure she was okay physically, because going through my mind was she could be being abused or something like that. Well, I said to her, I think we should FaceTime. And she said, no, bluntly again. And I carried on saying, come on, please. I was getting very worried now and agitated. Come on, please let me FaceTime you. She carried on saying, no, go away. This worried me because she had never said anything like this in the past. After a while, I became even more worried. I knew something was going on, so I decided to FaceTime her myself. I carried on spamming the FaceTime button, but there was no answer. Eventually, I turned my caller ID off and thought maybe they won't notice who it is. She answered. I was shocked what I saw. She did not answer the phone. Oh no, it was a man. An old man. He looked terrifying. He did not look like a nice person. He said, who's this? I said, I'm the one that's talking to the girl. Is she your daughter? He stared me straight in the eyes, like he was staring straight through my soul. and then he just hung up the phone. I was terrified now. That was not her father. Something very, very strange was going on here. We stopped talking for a few days, but I really needed to know who this man was. So, that night I went to sleep and just thought about what I could do. I thought about possibly calling the police, but what could they do? I have no proof about this man. I went to sleep that night, but got awoken by a huge bang. I walked along my creepy corridor to the window and looked out of it. Outside was a man, standing on the end of the driveway, looking up at the window. I went on my Snapchat, and I realised I'd made a big mistake. I left my snap maps on. I hid for a few minutes from the man. Eventually I heard the car start, and he drove away. But then I got a text from the girl I was talking to. I thought, that's a bit strange, we haven't spoken for a while. Could that have been her? The message simply read, "Help." My immediate reaction was, what's going on? Is this the man I'm talking to? Who am I actually talking to? But then, she called me. I answered the phone and said, "Hello? What's going on?" She said, "Help, help, help, I'm being abused. The man is keeping me captive. He knows you know, so he went on Snap Maps and came to your house. You need to stay away from him. He's going to come to you. He left his phone here." I knew I was talking to her now, but I was worried and I was confused. Like, what did she actually mean by that? So I replied by saying, "What do you mean you're being held?" She then told me that he was a child predator and he was using her to lure in other children and other men. She seemed absolutely terrified at what was going on, but she had the phone now and she was safe for the moment. I knew I had to do something, so I quickly called 999 and told them everything that was happening. I told them where the girl was because she had her Snap Map location on. The police eventually went to her house, arrived, and arrested the man. I never spoke to that girl again, but one thing I do know for sure, I won't be going on Tinder anytime soon. It was the summer holidays. We'd just finished college. We wanted to do something fun, so we all went down the beach. My friends decided to take some drugs for everybody to try. We all tried it, and it was okay. But eventually, it turned into a massive problem. After this day, I became heavily addicted to them, and I needed to buy it from different places. So, I had to go on the dark web to try and buy some. There was a guy on there. He seemed legit. He said, "I'll meet you at the beach. I will give you whatever you need there for a good price." I said, "Okay, I'll be there later." So, later on that day, in the evening, I walked down to the beach to try and find him. I couldn't see him anywhere, so I texted him and said, "Where are you? Are you here? I'm waiting by the beach." He replied by saying, "I can see you." I said to him back, "Where? I can't see you anywhere. There's no one on the beach. There's a couple of people in the park, but only kids." But then he said, "No, through your phone screen." I said, What do you mean you can see me through my phone screen?" He ignored the message. I said, "Hello, is anyone there? I'm waiting on the beach for you. Where are you?" He ignored the message again. I paced along the beach for a couple of minutes, waiting for him to reply, thinking, what am I doing? What is he doing? Where is he? Eventually, I got a notification on my phone. It was a picture message. The picture was of my house. He was clearly standing right in the front garden, staring straight at my house. I quickly said to him, "What the hell are you doing there?" I said, "The beach. How did you get my address?" He sent a message saying, "The dark web is a magical place." This was where I realised I had really mucked up now. I didn't know what to do. This guy was standing in the front garden of my house, and I was on the beach waiting for him. My parents were at home, so I quickly called my mum and said, "Mum, there's someone in the front garden. Don't let him in." She said, "Where?" And then she realised. He was standing on the porch, staring straight through the window. My mum told me she could hear him. There was someone there, banging on the windows, treading really loudly on the porch. She said, "What are you doing? Who is this guy?" I just said, "I have no time to explain at the moment. Just do not let him in the house. I'm coming." It was dark now. I got in my car and drove home as quickly as I possibly could. When I got there was no one there. I went up to my door and went inside. My mum was there. She hugged me and said, "Oh, you silly boy, what have you done?" I said, "I'll tell you later. Where's the guy?" She said, "I don't know. He just disappeared." I pulled out my phone and I texted the guy and said, "Where are you? What were you doing in my house? And what did you mean by you could see me through my phone?" He quickly responded by saying, "As I've said before, the dark web is a magical place." I said he's an idiot, and I said, "What are you doing? Where are you now? What do you want?" He quickly responded with another picture message. It was my room. I turned around to my mum and said, "Mum, why did you let him in the house? He's here, he's in my room." She said, "I didn't." But the windows were open. I grabbed a knife and ran upstairs to my room. I looked all around for him, but I couldn't find him anywhere. I shouted at the top of my lungs, "I swear I'm going to kill you. What are you doing in my house?" Then I looked out of the window. I saw a guy running in the distance out of my driveway. It must have been him. He was running away, and he was gone. I don't know what happened to the man after that, but I do know the biggest mistake of my life was going on the dark web. It was the beginning of the summer holidays in 2008. I'd just finished college and we wanted to have some fun in the holidays. So I invited all of my friends round and we were going to go and chill at the lake for a day. There was a huge lake near my house where all the kids used to play and just chill out in the summer because it was a really nice spot. So me and my friends packed our stuff for the day and just went down there. It was a man-made lake and obviously completely landlocked. The water was really nice and it was always full of people just playing on rafts and just having a really nice time. So we chilled there for the day and we actually decided to stay there for the evening. Thought it would be quite nice, as once all the crowds go, it would just be us and we'd have the lake to ourselves. So we put a tent out and just relaxed. Once it got to about 4 PM, all of the crowds had gone and it was just us and a couple of other people. A woman from a different group came up to us and said, "Yo guys, do you want to come with us? We're going to the dead lake." I said, "What do you mean the dead lake?" She said, "Have you not seen? It's supposedly a haunted lake which is really close to us." I didn't even know about another lake that was near here, but we said, "Sure, why not?" Me and my friend thought we wouldn't be very long, so we literally just took ourselves. We followed her and a couple of friends to the lake. It was about a 10-minute walk, and once we arrived there, it was really creepy. It was a small lake, and it looked really dirty, the water, not like somewhere you'd want to swim. The girl said, "Hey guys, by the way, I'm Lauren." I said, "Hi." She got her bag off of her back and pulled out a Ouija board. I said, I don't know about a Ouija board, it's not my kind of thing. My friend Joe went, "No guys, this is going to be so fun, let's do this." I said, "Oh, fine, come on then." She got the Ouija board out and her couple of friends came and sat with us. There was now about 11 or 12 of us and we were all sitting around the Ouija board right next to this lake. We put our hands on the counter and said, "Hello, is anybody there?" At first nothing happened, we were all just laughing, thinking it was quite funny. And then suddenly, the counter we were using just flung and flew away into the lake. I said, "What the hell? Who did that? Did anybody do that?" They said, "No." What the hell? It had literally gone at like 100 miles an hour and just shot right into the lake. We were not getting that back. Lauren then pulled a glass out of her bag and said, "Right, we're going to have to use this instead." We said, "All right then." So we put it back and said, "Hello, is anybody there?" It moved. It spelled out, "Go away or you're dead." We were all laughing, thinking it was some kind of joke, and we went, "Haha, yeah, come on then, if there's someone really there, do something." And then they did. We then heard the splashing of water from in the lake. But all of us were sitting around the Ouija board. We thought maybe there was someone else there. When we looked over, there wasn't. I pulled out a torch and walked over right up to the lake. I froze. Guys, come and have a look at this." They walked over. We were all standing there, blank-faced, staring at a dead body in the lake. No one was by the Ouija board and the glass smashed and flew into the lake. We said, "What the hell is going on? We need to go now. This is dead creepy." "Damn right it is," they replied. Lauren grabbed her Ouija board and put it in her bag and we ran away from the lake, back to where we were camping at the other lake. But once we got back, things got even worse. There was a man standing there, staring straight at us. He was standing right outside of our tent. He said, "You asked for this." He pulled out a knife and slashed our tent. He said, "You're next." We didn't know what to do. All of our stuff was there. We wanted to run, but where could we go? It was pitch black, and we couldn't see anything. We couldn't make out the face of this figure because it was so dark. But something very, very strange was going on here, and we were all terrified. I said to the man, "Did you kill that woman? The one in the lake?" He said, "Oh no. She killed herself. She did a long time ago. But this is all your fault. You summoned us. You asked for this to happen." We were all just standing there frozen, absolutely petrified. We then realised we made a big mistake. At the end of a Ouija board game, you have to say goodbye or bad things happen, like a curse, we never said goodbye. I said, guys, has anybody else got a glass or a counter? We need to do this now. The guy stayed staring straight at us, but didn't do anything. Lauren pulled out the Ouija board and said, okay guys, we're going to have to use this. She had a small flask top and we put it on the board. We said, please forgive us for what we have done. We are very sorry for everything. We won't tell anyone, we won't intrude in anything. Goodbye. We then folded up the Ouija board and put it in the bag. The man had now vanished. We were all absolutely petrified and we realised we needed to get some sleep before we could think straight. In the morning, we woke up. I thought, maybe it was all a dream, maybe none of that actually happened. But the tent was still slashed. There was a knife on the floor. This was all very strange. What the hell had happened? We packed up our stuff and went home. I said goodbye to my friends and I told my parents what had happened when I got home. They said, really? I don't know. Of course they didn't believe me. I still have no idea what happened that night, but I won't be returning to that lake again. It was the 17th of July, 2014. I'd just finished school for summer break and I wanted to have some fun. So I organised a sleepover for me and a big group of friends of about 6 or 7. We thought it would be great fun and we could go around the local neighbourhood, playing pranks and just having a laugh. So we all planned to meet up the following week at my place. So the next week, I got films, food, everything you could imagine, drinks, and it was all ready for the evening. All of my friends came knocking at the door at about 7 and 8 p.m, and they all came in. Once everybody was in, my friend James came, and he said, guys, I know something fun we should do. We all said, what? He said, let's go to the factory. I said, what do you mean the factory? Why would we go to someone's workplace? He said, no, it's abandoned, but it's meant to be haunted and it looks really creepy. It'd be such a laugh. I said, I don't know, it's a bit strange. But the other boys said, let's do it and let's take a Ouija board. James thought, let's do this, it'll be so fun. I was pretty skeptical and scared, but I thought, why not? It'll be a good laugh. So, I got my Ouija board from under my bed, and around 10 p.m, we all set out. I said, James, where is the factory? Is it a long way away? He said, no, it's just down the road. But I'd never seen it before. It was strange. After a 10-minute walk, we got to the gate. Oh my god, this is awesome, said James. I said, I don't know, this is really creepy. There was a huge sign which said, come in. I thought this was a very, very strange thing to be on an abandoned factory. I said, James, why is there a sign up there? He said, oh no, don't worry, it's just the locals put it up. Lots of kids come here and play. It's calm. I said, alright, no worries. We all walked through the gates and into the factory. Once we were inside, I knew James was right, and it was dead creepy in there. It was pitch black, cobwebs, and it had definitely been abandoned for a long time. We walked around for about 5 minutes, and one of the boys said, where's James? He had vanished. We looked around for ages and we couldn't find him anywhere. And then we saw something. It was almost like a meat locker, and James was standing outside of it, just staring straight at it. I walked up to him and said, James, you scared us all, what the hell are you doing? He didn't reply, he just stared fixated on the wall. I said, James, what are you doing? I shook him. He did not move a muscle. Then we heard something, like banging and footsteps, almost like a knife on a chopping board. I said, guys, is that you? They said, no, was it you? But no one made that noise, and it carried on getting closer and closer. I said, guys, you said this place was abandoned, what the hell? They said, it is, I swear, there can't be anyone here. But there was. Then there was a voice. It came from like an old man. He said, get out. Now we knew that James hadn't been staring at the wall. He was staring at this guy. One of the boys, Theo, stood up and said, oi, old man, what do you want? Who are you? We all thought maybe it's other kids from the neighbourhood coming and playing here. But it did sound a lot like an old man. But the man replied and said, don't you dare talk to me like that. Then came the sound of a drill from within the darkness. I said, guys, I think we should go now. They said, no, it's just some stupid kids. Let's play the Ouija board. This other person that was there just didn't say anything else, and the whole building was quiet now. But I was still terrified. Nevertheless, I got the Ouija board out and put it on the ground. We all sat down, and then suddenly I saw a man. A big, old man wearing a hood came up and grabbed Theo and pulled him away. We all shouted, "Oi, stop, what the hell are you doing? He's not done anything to you. Who are you?" The guy then said, "Your friend here is in trouble, and so are you if you don't leave my building." We all knew now that we needed to leave right now, but we couldn't leave Theo behind. The old man and Theo disappeared into the darkness. I could just hear Theo screaming. And then... it sounded like a jackhammer or a saw, followed by Theo screaming. I didn't know what was going on, but I was terrified. I ran to where the sound was coming from and I found Theo. His finger was bleeding, almost like it had been chopped into. But I avoided the point, I picked him up, and I said, "Guys, we need to go now." We all ran as fast as we possibly could out of the building. But the gate to the road was now locked. I said, "Oh, for Christ's sake, we need to go now." We all helped Theo get over the fence, and then we all climbed. We got through the road, and we ran as fast as we possibly could, all the way back to my house. When we got back there, we said to my mum, "Oh my God, there's some crazy man in the factory. He literally, look what he's done. He chopped half of his finger off." My mum said, What do you mean?" "I need to go and check this out." She got in her car and she drove to where the factory was. The gates were wide open, and the door to the factory was boarded up. There was no one there, and no trace that there had ever been anybody there. That's what she told us when she got back. We said, "What do you mean? We were literally there just now. Are you at the did you go to the wrong place?" She said, "There's only one factory around here." We were really confused now. What the hell had just happened? But we fixed up Theo's finger, and we went to sleep. In the morning, I was awoken by a knock at the door. I went downstairs to see the postman. Had all of his packages and everything. But it wasn't the usual postman. It was an old man wearing a hood. He said, "Don't say a word." To this day, I am so confused and have no idea what happened that night. Was that man actually in the factory? Was he some kind of crazy man? Or was it something more sinister? It was Halloween night 2012, and I wanted to do something fun for Halloween with my friends. So we planned to go to the abandoned school, which was down our road. We'd never been there before, but we'd heard locals had gone there and seen very, very strange things or heard things. So we thought we'd go there and scare ourselves. My friend bought a Ouija board, as he thought it would be a good idea to use it. But none of us had ever used a Ouija board before, and we had no idea what we were doing. So that was a very bad idea. It got to around 8 PM, and my 4 friends had arrived at my house. Jamie, who loved being scared and had the Ouija board, said, "Are you guys ready to go to this school?" We all said, "Yeah." I was pretty apprehensive and terrified, to be honest with you, because I'd never been to an abandoned building before, and I'd never used a Ouija board. We got all of our stuff together, and at 10 PM, we set off. After a 20-minute walk, we got to the school. But it was completely boarded up, so we didn't know how to get in. I said, "Guys, well, how are we going to get in if it's boarded up?" They said, "Oh, guys, trust me, I know a lot of kids that have been in here. Let's go around the back." We went around the back, and there was a tiny crawl space under the ground, which let you inside into almost like the cafeteria. This was scary, because if something happened, it would be very hard to get out of. Nevertheless, we crawled through and got into the building. When we got inside, it was very creepy, and it was clear that this place had been abandoned for a very long time. The lockers were all smashed up, nothing really was intact in there. But we thought it would be great fun to play the Ouija in here. So we put the board on the ground and we sat around it. We said, "If there's anyone there, please give us a sign. We've never done this before and we're scared, but we want to know if there's anybody here." It stopped for a minute and nothing happened, but then it slowly moved from letter to letter and it said, "Leave." We said, "But we don't want to leave, we want to find out what happened and if anybody's here." We said, "Is there anything you can tell us? What actually happened at this place? Do you know?" Again, it spelled, "Leave." But we didn't want to leave. We wanted to find out what the hell was going on. So I said again, "Whoever's there, please just tell us what happened in this place, or who you are, please, and then we will go." The board then said, "Okay, you really want to know?" We said, "Yes, please just tell us." Nothing happened for a couple of moments, and then there was a huge bang. It was like somebody was knocking on the door or the walls around the building, We were like, oh my god, what is going on? We looked out of the small windows, which were slightly boarded up, and there was nobody outside. Then there was the sound of footsteps coming closer and closer to us. We were terrified now. We said, whoever's there, just stop, okay? Just stop. If anybody's there, please. The counter on top of the board then just flew across the room and smashed into the wall. We said, guys, we need to go now. This is dead creepy. They said, no, it's fine. It's just a board. We said, no, we need to go. This is really scary. Then the sounds got even louder. There was just tons of loud sound, like bells and horns. This was when my friends looked at me and said, okay, we need to go now. But we knew we needed to do one thing before we left. We needed to say goodbye to the Ouija board so that nothing else happened. So, my friend had a bottle in his bag. We had to use the top of that as we didn't have the counter. We said, we're sorry for what we have done. Please don't harm us. Goodbye. We then folded up the board and crawled through the crawl space under the ground and out to outside. But on the outside was a man, standing there with like a walking stick. He stared at us. He said, I told you to leave. We froze and stared at the man. We were terrified. We were like, we said goodbye. What's going on? But we did leave. I'm sorry. What have we done? The guy said, you have made a big mistake. Go now, or you will pay. Me and the boys just looked at each other and we ran as fast as we possibly could all the way back home. We got into bed and we were absolutely terrified now. But we needed to get some sleep, and in the morning we could talk about what happened and figure out what actually happened. In the morning, we were all just as confused as each other and scared. What had happened? To this day, I still have no idea what happened. Was that somebody just playing a Halloween prank on us? Or did the Ouija board really curse us? It was a boiling hot summer's night. I was working as a babysitter at the time, and I had found a new client. The mother of the young girl called me up one day and said, hi, would it be okay? I hear you're a babysitter. Could you just come round for the evening? We're going out for dinner. We'll pay you X amount. I said, yeah, sure, always open to new clients. So I booked my time slot for that evening. They said, could you be here around 7 p.m? I said, yep, sure, no worries. Is there any requirements she needs and stuff? They went, no worries. We'll talk you through everything when you get here. I said, no worries. So I carried on with my day. And once it got to about 4 p.m, I got all my stuff ready to go round her house. When I got there, I was shocked. It wasn't like any of my other clients' house. It was huge, right in the middle of the countryside. Absolutely stunning place. So I went inside and they welcomed me and told me all the instructions for the evening and that the girl needed to be in bed by 9 p.m. She must have been about 10 and the parents were probably in their late 30s or 40s. I said, yep, no worries, and they left the house to go out for their evening. I sat down with the girl and said, what do you want to do? She said, I don't mind, do you want to watch a film or something? Yeah, sure. So, we put a comedy on and we just sat down and watched it for a bit. It got to about 9 p.m. and she needed to go to bed now, so I took her upstairs and put her to sleep. Once I came back downstairs, I just wanted to sit on my laptop for a bit, get a bit of work done and watch a bit of Netflix maybe afterwards, as the parents wouldn't be home till very, very late that night. So, I got my laptop out and started doing some work. But then I noticed something. In the corner of my eye, right by the TV. I didn't notice it earlier. It was a clown statue, almost staring straight at me. I thought it was really creepy and a bit of a strange thing to have in their house, especially by the TV, because it was huge and very creepy. I was very surprised that the girl liked this. However, I didn't want to move it because it could have been sentimental to them. About an hour later, the parents called. The dad said to me, oh hi, how are you getting on? I said, yeah, no worries, she's just gone to bed now. But then I did question, I said, there's this really creepy clown statue, do you mind if I move it? Because I'm not really good with scary things and it's, it's creeping me out a bit, or is it like sentimental or something? He said to me, clown statue? Yeah, I said, there's like a big one by the TV, Can I move it, is that okay? But he said, we don't have a clown statue. My eyes widened and my mouth dropped. I was absolutely terrified. Why was there a clown statue in the house then? I said, well, I didn't bring it here. Did your daughter? Did she bring it home today? He said, no, that wasn't there when we left. They said, did you go outside or anything to play? I said, yeah, we did for a little bit earlier. He said, okay. We were both just as confused as each other. He then hung up the phone. I moved the clown statue and thought, what the hell is going on here? I then heard something. Footsteps. Coming from upstairs. I then realised something was slightly off here. So I downloaded the CCTV app they told me to look at so I could monitor their daughter when she was sleeping if anything were to happen. Once I got on there, I was shocked and I dropped my phone to the floor and it shattered the screen. I'd never been so scared in my life. What did I see? This is the CCTV footage. I was absolutely terrified now, but I realised I needed to get the girl out of there. So I picked up their landline and I called the police. I told them there was some strange man in this house and they needed to get here immediately. I then checked the CCTV again and the guy picked up something. It was a screwdriver and he was about to do something horrific. I ran up the stairs and pushed him against the wall and I grabbed the girl and we ran outside of the house, right into the garden. And we were both terrified, but she didn't really know what was going on. I then told her what happened, and she was shocked. I asked for her phone, and I called the parents. They said, what's going on? I said, I don't know how to tell you this. I think when we went outside, somebody got in the house. What? Look at the CCTV. There was someone under your daughter's bed. They were terrified and said they were going to come home ASAP. But the police then turned up and said, what's going on then? I showed them where the scene was and what happened, and they were terrified as well. But the clown was gone. He had obviously run off while we came outside. But where to? I guess we will never know. The only thing I do know is I definitely lost my babysitting job with those people. And I went home that night and was terrified that that clown would do the same thing to someone else. But he hasn't. It's been years now and I've never seen anything like that again. But if I ever do a babysitting job again, I'm never going to leave the child on their own. It was Halloween 2016 and I was on my way to a babysitting job which I'd just got. When I got there, they seemed like a really nice family. The parents were going out for an evening and me and the boy were just on our own. I believe he was about 13 or 14 at the time, but he was a bit crazy. He wasn't your average young boy, he was very grown up for his age and didn't just want to sit and watch a film. Once the parents went out, I said to him, what do you want to do tonight? I mean, it is Halloween at the end of the day. Do you want to watch a film or something? No. Well, what do you want to do then? I know something really fun, he said. I said, what is it? He went upstairs, opened his drawer and pulled out a game. He then brought it downstairs to me and I said, well, what is it? It's a Ouija board. I froze and thought, no, there's not a chance I'm playing a Ouija board with a 14-year-old and I'm babysitting him. That's crazy. He said, oh, come on, let's do it, it'll be great fun. I said, no. Plus there's nowhere to do it. He said, oh really? There is. He pointed out of his back window to a creepy shed at the end of his garden. It looked like it had been there for a long time and it was almost like made out of stone. I said, no, not a chance. I'm supposed to be looking after you, kid. There's no chance we're playing a Ouija board, alright? It's Halloween. We can either go out trick-or-treating around the, local neighbours or watch a film, whatever you want to do, okay? But he said, no. We're playing the Ouija board. Well, I'm playing it whether you like it or not. He then walked out the back door and walked over to the shed. I really didn't want to do this, but I couldn't let him do it on his own because that would be very, very irresponsible. So I walked over there and said, oh, fine. Come on then. Yes, let's go, he said. He put the board on the ground and I said, I've never done one of these before. He said, oh, I have. Well, what are we meant to do? I said, well, the main rules are you say hello, you ask your questions, and even if the craziest stuff happens, you always say goodbye at the end, okay? Oh, fine, come on then, let's do this. He put it out on the ground and started moving the thing around on top. I said, hello? At first nothing happened, but then, after a couple of minutes, it became the scariest night of my life. I then heard knocking on the door of the shed. I thought, wait, are your parents home then? They'd be crazy if they knew we'd done this. He said, no, this must be the Ouija board. For some unknown reason, he was not scared, but I was terrified. I opened the door, and there was nothing there. When I closed it again, we asked the board again, hello, is there anyone there? The knocking again, from outside of the door. But this time when I opened it, on the ground outside, was a dead animal, completely ripped apart on the floor. We both looked at each other in terror and thought, what the hell is going on here? We thought we needed to leave now, and we said, okay, let's get rid of this. I said, goodbye to the board. But then we saw something. On the back of the wall appeared a faint text. It almost looked like it was written in blood, and it looked like something from a movie. It said, you're next. I looked at this boy and we were absolutely terrified. I said, we need to leave now and go inside because your parents will be home soon and we can't have any of this, can we? This is awful. We need to go now. He said, yeah, to be fair, I kind of agree now. This is bad. The text was still on the wall though. I said to the board again, goodbye. I'm really sorry for whatever we've done. Sorry for annoying you. Goodbye. We folded up the board and walked out of the door. The animal had gone, but there was now arrows on the floor, not pointing towards his house, pointing towards his well. I said, you have a well? What? Why are those arrows pointing there? Well, my mum always says it's haunted. What do you mean haunted? Well, apparently some guy, killed someone here and threw the body down the well. Jesus, well, you could have told me that, couldn't you? Sorry. Oh, this isn't the time to argue. True, right, okay. We followed the arrows for some unknown reason because we needed to finish the game, or it could have been even worse. We walked over to the well, and inside was a body. I screamed, and he just stared, blank-faced. We were both absolutely terrified now. We need to finish this now. I put the board back on the ground and said, goodbye, we are really sorry for what we've done. Goodbye. We then threw the board down the well and ran back inside the house. But when we sat back down on the sofa, the board was there on the table. Oh crap. What the hell are we gonna do? I don't know how this has happened, but it was terrifying. I said, we should never have done this in the first place. But we've started it. There's only one thing we can really do. He looked at me and said, what's that? I said, stay here. You don't want to get in any more trouble, okay? I then walked out into the garden and over to the shed. I sat down in there and I put a cross on the board because apparently that did something to repel their souls or whatever it is. I put it down and I said, please, leave us now. I heard a horrible scratching sound in my ears, really, really loudly, and then more banging and banging at the door, just excruciating amounts of noise, all around me from outside of the shed. But then it stopped. It just vanished. I folded up the board and walked back inside. Everything was back to normal. I said, we did it. He took the Ouija board and he threw it in the bin, and it never returned again. When the parents returned home that night, we did not tell them what had happened. And I went home that night, and I was scared, to be honest. But I've never seen anything like that again. The one thing I know for sure, I will never do a Ouija board again in my life.